Hello, hello, hello. It's welcome to the Unnamed Cybersecurity Show. And we've got from New Jersey, Bob Mitchie with Metro MSP. And then we've got Chris Burns out of the Detroit area with your cyber team. Yep. You have me, Carl DePrado, A to Z Business IT out of Westchester, New York. And Matt Weaver, well, we've gotten confirmation that he is not kidnapped. We didn't think we had a ransom demand, but that was just his mother wanting to know where he is. So that's where we are today.
Yeah, I told her I wasn't going to pay the ransom. So,
well, she hasn't paid me for being his friend yet. So
doesn't have insurance. Doesn't have the ransom insurance like you, Chris.
Yeah, I know. Mine's only $50,000 though for the entire company, and that's aggregated. So, like, if you're getting kidnapped, you better be getting kidnapped for about $5,000 because it's gonna be a rough one.
But Matt does claim to be back in the United States. So today we wanted to do first a recap. We wanted to do a little update on the deep fake issue that happened in Hong Kong we talked about last week. So Chris, a roving reporter from Detroit, tell us about what's going on in Hong Kong.
The person who spends way too much time on the internet doing research. So a little bit more context to last week's episode. Basically, this is the scenario that played out. Apparently, the financial employee received an email from the CFO. So we can assume, this is assumptions, right, that the CFO's email was compromised. So the threat actors were in there. They knew who the players were. They knew a lot. We don't know how long they were in there. Nobody knows. This is an active investigation. They basically emailed this financial employee and said, hey, from the CFO's in the UK, by the way, too, not in Hong Kong. But the financial employee was in Hong Kong. Emails him and said, hey, we have this secret business deal we need to do, so we need to jump on this call and do this. So they get the video call. Again, remember, this is all deep fake. None of the executives on there, the CFO, none of them are real. These are all deep fake, video, audio, everything for this. They tell him, hey, we're going to do this highly secretive business deal, right? And we need immediate investment of capital. And the CFO and the other corporate leaders, they directed this guy to do 15 separate bank transfers to 5 different Hong Kong accounts. 15. This dude did 15 separate transfers. Now, when I think they're doing 15 transfers, what I'm thinking is they know the limits of maybe where there's a financial control or where they're going to go under an amount that would trigger some sort of alert. So anyway, 15 transfers. 5 different bank accounts in Hong Kong. Again, total $200 million in Hong Kong or 25.6 million US. Then they told the guy, hey, this needs to have the strictest discretion. Do not leak this to your coworkers. So that financial employee waited a week and he checked in with the home office and he's like, hey, what's happening with the secret deal? And they were all like, what are you talking about?
How did he know to talk to the home office about the secret deal if it's such a secret?
He must have. They didn't say how it happened. I'm assuming he reached out to the CFO or one of the other corporate leaders on there, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" So the money was gone. I mean, there's probably no recovering that money. A week later, that money was cashed out. So that's the update. That's the wildness of this. Like I said, it's an ongoing investigation, but we take it back a notch and we say, okay, cool. They had access to CFO's email, so we can talk about that and how dangerous that is. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
When in certain cultures, you don't question authority, period. So if somebody from authority tells you to do something, guess what? You're just going to do it. And how many companies have you come across? You guys come across actually, where if the CFO or the CEO tells an employee to do something, do they ever question it?
Most cases, no.
No.
I mean, as a matter of fact, it's one of the more dangerous things. I mean, when you deal with certain personalities, which are even stricter, where they're scared to bring up any questions or bad news. And I think I was sharing with you before the show. I was sharing I read about a plane crash that happened in the Andes in one of the mountains, where two pilots from the same culture. The co-pilot knew that the captain was making grievous mistakes and did not question him, to the detriment of everybody's life. Yeah, he was the captain. Don't question.
So in my business, I encourage people to tell me I'm an idiot. or I'm wrong, or something else is wrong in the company. I encourage it. I want people to say, hey, look, we have a problem. We have an issue.
Yep.
Just tell me. Talk about it. That's how I'm wired though. Like I want people to tell me because I feel like, as you build a company and stuff like that, like especially if you're the leader, you're not doing everything at the ground level. Maybe when you're small and we're all small and that's fine. But like, people come up with really good ideas. And I think we need to foster that. But you know what, again, some cultures, some companies, that's not how it works. And that's the danger. And this is one of the dangers that you run in that situation where they don't question something, they just do it. Right.
Hey guys, why don't we shift gears a little bit and get into some happy stuff, some good stuff that happened in the past week, specifically, some happy good news. Cooperation between the UK and the US. And
I thought you were talking about Matt getting kidnapped.
No. Talking about what happened with Lockbit this week.
Lockbit.
We
got one.
But by the way, of all the, I'll say this, of all the dark websites for like ransomware as a service operators, Lockbit's probably my favorite. Not because of what they do.
You have a favorite ransom gang?
No, not the gang. The site design. It's so modern. Design. It was so modern. Like a lot of the ransomware sites are just trash. They just look like they were designed in the 90s. This one is actually pretty modern, which is more hilarious because the NCA from the UK is just taking that and then just posted like decryption keys and stuff on it in the same format. But it was just one of the more modern ones.
So why don't you, which one of you fine gentlemen want to explain what just happened to our people at Lockbit? I mean, Chris, you are a fan of the UI design at Lockbit.
Go for it,
not a fan of Lockbit. Hold on, I'm not a Lockbit fanboy.
User interface. I clarified that the user interface you thought was made them the sharpest dressed cybercrime ring out the dark web.
I spend a lot of time doing research, and you see a lot of different sites and designs and things like that, and even in how evil somebody can be, you can still appreciate something. So their site design is pretty on point. Anyway,
you should respect the enemy. There's nothing wrong with that. So go ahead and say explain what just happened to them.
Take it?
Yeah, why don't you want to take it? Bob, you want to take it?
Yeah. All right.
Chris has got it.
Oh, you have a screen.
I spent way too.
You can take it.
I spent way too much time doing this. All right, so they took down their entire infrastructure. They arrested 2 affiliates a couple days ago. Basically, all this went down. They arrested 2 affiliates. It was funny. The NCAA on their Twitter was posting a countdown because they already announced that it had taken place, but they were doing a countdown. So 6:30 Eastern time, they did their announcement. Then the U.S. Department of Justice did their announcement a little bit later. Pretty wild. These guys have been around for a long time. 2 Russian nationals were charged in the U.S. Will we ever see them? Probably not, because if they don't leave Russia, they probably won't get hit. But there was more than 2,000 victims worldwide from these guys. 1,400 were in the United States. They had over $100 million in ransom just in the United States and about $27 million in the UK. The UK was actually pretty small, but like the Royal Mail in the UK was one of their victims. So kind of wild.
That included hospitals and schools too.
Yeah. They didn't hide away from too much.
They didn't discriminate.
No, and a lot of their members came from like other ransomware service operators over the course. So, they knew what to do and everything like that. They froze a bunch of cryptocurrency accounts. They got a bunch of decryption keys to kind of help businesses out. The U.S. has a site for Lockbit victims that you can kind of fill out a form on IC3, which is the Internet Crimes Unit. But, the thing that comes out of there is like, this doesn't really necessarily end Lockbit because they didn't really arrest anybody high up. They arrested 2 affiliates. The same thing that kind of happened with ELF-V back in December, where they took over part of their infrastructure, but then ELF-V basically took new infrastructure. So it's not everything, but it's something.
It's a step in the right direction.
It definitely disrupts them and probably creates like a trust problem with their affiliates, because that's how they do it. They make the ransom and they sell it to affiliates. But they also found out that that when people paid the ransom, and they were told that their data was going to be deleted. Shocking, they didn't delete the data. I know, right?
I mean, they
Cybercriminals
couldn't
not
follow their own
following through.
best practices of being a cybercrime gang.
It's fair. To really be honest though, like if they get infiltrated, which I'm assuming once all this information comes out, the way they did LV and they posed and they found all of these like bugs and things like that and vulnerabilities they could exploit. The US has really good hackers on like we're just talking like NSA and FBI and stuff like that, and so does all like Interpol and stuff like that. Yeah, there you go. Press releases, I love it. See, now can you respect
this is the website?
Can you respect the design? The design is pretty clean.
Yeah, it is. It's a very nice user interface.
It's a great design.
Yeah, and it's even better when they actually put sanctions up there.
It's a great design, and but you look at the site, and there's been the way they took it over. They actually posted the decryption keys and recovery tools, and
remember
the press releases are out there now.
Yeah, and this is Lockbit 3.0. They've had Lockbit 2.0 and Lockbit, so this is their newest one. So,
I mean, it's almost like admiring a mugger who gives you the option to use Apple Pay. As far as just ease of service and everything that they had.
I'm gonna get a drug dealer who offers you Square.
Exactly. But
that actually happens. That actually happens though. So, I don't personally know that. I've seen some stuff where they were finding out that drug dealers were using like Square and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you got to make it easy for your customer, right?
It's still a business, unfortunately. We joke about this, but this is the reality. Is that this is a business, and they run it like a business. And I'm sure somebody's going to get a write-up for not deleting all the data that was on the server that they were supposed to delete. But
right up. Their 401k match has now been disqualified.
Chris and Carl, we've talked about this before. How is Lockbit and all these ransomwares getting deployed, and what can people do to protect themselves?
I shared a case study. We did this in the green room before we started, and if you go through the way that Lockbit operates, a lot of their affiliates used off-the-shelf tools.
Yeah.
So it was stuff that you may or may not notice in your business because they live off the land a lot with like tools that are already there, but they use stuff like AnyDesk for like remote connectivity. They would use TeamViewer, I think was one of them. They would use commonly used remote access tools that if you're not looking for them, like that could be the way they establish persistence is that they just load a tool like that and just add remote access to it. Mm-hmm. And then they move inside your network, figure out how you operate and deploy the ransomware. The CISA had a number of recommendations. I kind of put them in this case study, but realistically, if you don't know what's happening on your network, that's a problem. If you don't have a detection mechanism, that's really the problem. Yep. Somebody's going to get in at some point, right? Like we all say that it's not if, it's when, and I hate that because like we're not trying to sell doom and gloom to people.
No.
But it's going to happen. Somebody's going to click on something. There's going to be a vulnerability in something you didn't know about. It's going to happen. When you can't detect it, and you can take it back to the Hong Kong example, when they couldn't detect that somebody was in the CFO's email, look how devastating that was. If you can't detect it, you can't respond to it. Something that doesn't have a detection mechanism cannot be responded to. So that's really important. And knowing what's on your computers, having standards, understanding that, hey, this is the software that should be there. And when something else shows up that isn't there, that isn't on that list, you need to know about it.
Same thing with accounts.
Yeah. So we're going through this right now. We did a migration, and dude, there's so many people have access to too much data. There's no classifications. And we're doing this in conjunction with somebody else. They don't know permissions or try and change them. But we saw software that was just like, why is this on the business PC? Right. Like I'm seeing game launchers on business PCs. Like, why is that a thing? Why have you allowed your users to do that? And
I think everything likes to play Xbox all the time.
Yeah. But everything you install can be used against you at some point, right? Because the more things you install, the more things you have to protect against. So
the more holes you put in the system.
Yeah,
and patch and update, and that's another call.
And it doesn't matter how much you spend on cyber tools. You could spend all the money on cyber tools. If somebody can authenticate, or if it's insecure configuration that they can literally just go in and do whatever they want, that doesn't violate something that the technical tool you put in place, like endpoint detection response, it's not going to detect if somebody can authenticate. So if somebody gets on a PC that maybe doesn't have your endpoint detection response tool, and nobody's looking at it, there's no detection mechanism, and they can authenticate to your file server and pull all of your data off there, authenticate as a user inside your company, do you think that's going to be detected? No.
Because it would just be like, for the system, it would be just like any other authorized individual.
Yep. And I don't think I've ever seen a company outside of like super small companies that have 100% coverage on their security tools.
No.
It just doesn't happen. And unfortunately, that can be a big problem. Because these operators, they're incredibly smart. They will find a path. If they get access, they will find a path. And how you respond is so important. So,
well, you just took a good thing and drug us down into the weeds about how bad.
Jeez,
how
we
bad
were trying to be
people can
happy
be,
today.
but,
we thought cybercrime was over.
I'm in this business group on that meets once a month. Yeah, once a month on Wednesdays, and I'm like Dr. Doom in that place because I was like, "What's going on in cybersecurity land?" I'm like, "You sure you want to know?
You really
You
want to
sure?"
know?
Yeah. So we were talking about AI the other day, and I'm going to do a presentation for somebody else next month about AI. So maybe I'll bring some tips and tools to this.
Anyway, guys, I think it might be time to get back to work and let Chris go back and do some more research.
Yeah, we need to do a Where's Waldo with Matt. Like, where is he right now?
Somewhere in the U.S.
He said he's back.
He said he's back.
Maybe that was that was a deep fake.
Bob, the tracker you put in the tracker you put on Matt, is it showing up yet? The U.S.
I've seen the images he's posted.
I think there's been a counter strike. Bob got frozen.
Yeah,
we can see where we can find them.
I'm telling you, those images that Matt sent, they look deep fake. I'll be honest. Like, I don't think he was.
I don't think there's ever been a Matt. I never really met the guy. No.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. If you have anything that you want us to talk about specifically, cybersecurity is fun.
So have you? I saw. Yeah, let's wrap this up, and we'll have some more. I'm sure we'll have some more AI calls coming.
I mean, next week we'll have something else because inevitably between now.
Have a good week, guys.
Yeah, right. Take care, guys.